Hello and welcome back to Know It's Crochet. My name is Nicole and today we're going to be doing another Crochet Swatch Saturday and yarn review. What are we going to be looking at today? The Rococo / Ice Yarns Linen Viscot. Now, I say it that way because these are the exact same yarn, identical. I mean, even if you look at them right there, look how close those are. Like, I cannot tell you that there is a single difference between the two of these other than the color choices. So if you want one color, you're going to have to go to Ice Yarns. And if you want the other colors, you're going to have to go to Hobbii. That's the only difference here. So let's swatch this up and do a comparison. Not a comparison because I already know that they're the same yarn. We're going to do a little review and talk about it. But I have to be totally transparent. I've actually used this yarn before. I have made an entire garment with this yarn that I absolutely love. So I might be a little biased on this one, but let's go ahead and check it out. I am going to guess, because I already have some experience with this, that it is going to score a 4.2. Let's see. Let's test it out. Let me know what you think down below, and we'll jump on over to the table and start working it up. Hello, and here we are with Ice Yarns Linen Viscot, aka Hobbie's Rococo Linen. As I said in the intro, these are the exact same yarn. So we're going to go ahead and take this Linen Viscot and work it up a little bit and see how it does. Now I have already done my double crochet swatch on this so that I could wash it and kind of give it a good bath and see how it works. Now hopefully you can see here overall that this is a yarn that has thicker areas and then thinner areas. Rococo, the Hobbii line, says that this is a fingering weight yarn. And in the thinner areas, it certainly is. However, if you know much about doing the yarn weights, you really need to judge based on the thicker areas because that's going to be the harder spot to really, you can't really crochet based on the thinner areas if there are thicker areas. Try and say that 5 times fast. So we are going to judge this based on the thicker area, which really it pretty much falls into the DK range and definitely not the fingering range. So if you want to kind of compensate, you could probably go with the sport range and be okay. Ice Yarns actually lists this as a light, which would be the DK. So, you know, it's just all good information to have when you are selecting your yarn and planning a project that if you're buying it based on this being a fingering weight yarn, that might not work out overall. So I am going to do this review primarily based on the Ice Yarns Linen Viscot for 2 reasons. One is that the Linen Viscot, the Ice Yarns brand, is cheaper overall, and it also has more color options. So it's going to be a better bang for your buck. But just know that if there's a color that you like in the Rococo that's not available in the Ice Yarns, they are a 1-for-1 exchange. Both completely identical yarns. And today we're going to be using our Tulip 4mm crochet hook. Normally I use a Clover Soft Touch. This is the one that I had closest to me. I think the Soft Touch is actually wrapped up in a project at the moment. So we're going to use the Tulip. I actually really like the way the Tulip performs. The one thing I don't like about it, well, 2 things. One is that it has a little bit of a seam right there that kind of rubs on my hand. And 2 is this little bump right here. My nail kind of almost catches on that quite a bit. It has taken a little bit of practice to get used to the hook overall. I still would go back to my Clover Soft Touch all day long, but these are not bad hooks overall. But they're not worth the price. I mean, they are definitely on the pricier end. Just good information to know. I know these are crochet swatch yarn review videos, but sometimes it's interesting to hear the hook conversation as well. Because like yarn, there is a hook out there for everyone, and everyone is not going to like the same hook. Now this yarn is it's almost a specialty yarn because of that thick and thin, but it is a really lovely blend. And as I said in the intro, I have actually made an entire project using this yarn, and it is one of my favorite tops to wear. I will definitely be taking that one on the road, which I am now on. Well, I am when this video comes out, not as I'm recording the video, but you know what I mean. And I'll show you the picture of that for sure towards the end. This only has 36 Ravelry projects listed. And of those 36, only 9 of them are crochet. So it definitely tends to be more of a knitter's yarn. And sometimes that's because crocheters don't love the thick and thin yarns. They find that they're a little bit harder to get gauge, a little bit harder to work with, versus, I guess, what it is for knitters. Now, I have no idea because I'm not a knitter, but I suspect that's the case, as well as the fact that I find crocheters don't tend to lean into the linen-based yarns as much, and that could be a price point factor. It could be a size factor. You don't generally find linen yarns in worsted weight, and you're not going to find them in the big box stores like Michael's. So, you know, those things could certainly play into why these type of yarns tend to be more favored by knitters, in my opinion. Let me know if you have any thoughts on that down below, because I'd love to hear other people's thoughts on why some of these yarns are just not appreciated as much by crocheters. Because it's not hard to work with. It's not a factor of that. I know there are definitely certain yarns that are very difficult for crocheters to work with, whereas it's not hard for a knitter to work with. This is not the factor on this one. Now again, since there aren't a lot of projects, there also aren't going to be a lot of reviews. So on Ravelry, there are 7 reviews with an average of 4.4. On Hobbii, and I had to go with Hobbii because Ice Yarns really doesn't have hardly any reviews, even for their most popular yarns. Hobbii had 5 reviews and it rated 4.8. So definitely a very well rated yarn. And I have to say that the viscose in this yarn makes it very, very pleasant to work with a linen. Again, this is a 30% linen, 34% cotton, 38% viscose. Is that right? 30% linen, 34% cotton, 36% viscose. The cotton and the viscose make this a really, really nice yarn. You can see the percentages are exactly the same here. I am currently working with another yarn, the Summer Solstice Paints by Juniper Moon Farm, that is 48% linen, 24% cotton, and 24% viscose with 4% polyester. Now, the higher linen in this is 18% higher linen. That definitely shows in the softness of the yarn. So while that is almost 50% linen and this is only 30% linen, it makes a significant difference on our projects. Why am I in the wrong spot? Let me move. I try and stay centered and it doesn't always work out very well. I need a dot right here that says work here. And so you know, it only goes to show that the content makeup and how much of one versus how much of another can really have a huge factor in how the yarn is performing, how it feels, how it looks. All of those things are definitely major factors. Now, I gotta say, the Summer Solstice Paints is an absolutely stunning yarn. It is gorgeous, but it definitely feels like straw when you're working with it. So, I mean, it's a trade-off. Do you want the looks on the end, or do you want the pleasantness of the experience? And you know, sometimes I go for the look, sometimes I go for the experience. So it really just depends on how I'm feeling overall. The thick and thinness of this yarn is kind of a basic, you know, where it's thinner, it's very tightly twisted. But in the thicker spots, it is not that tightly twisted. And so it's a light twist with almost a roving kind of fluffiness to it. And it gives a lovely textured quality to the yarn and to the final project that is kind of unique. I really like it. I think it gives it a really high-end look and performs very well. Now, I do have to say, I have washed my garment a few times, and it does have a tendency, the cotton in there kind of gets a little bit fluffy, a little bit pilly, but it's not something that one of those little fuzz buster vacuum pill machine kind of handheld things won't solve the problem. So I mean, it's not bad. It really is very manageable. It does not bother me, but it's something that you might want to keep in mind if you are very anti-pill in the projects that you're working with. All right, we got one more row to go here. And then we will pull out our scores. So as I'm finishing up this row, make sure that you get your comments in below as far as what you're going to guess this is going to score overall. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy these videos and you enjoy the reviews. If you haven't already, hit that bell notification if you want to make sure that you get reminders of all of them when they come up. And if you are really interested in getting the written reviews so that you see what the ratings are typed out, you can become a subscriber to our Buy Me a Coffee, and I post the actual scores. So if you really wanted to, you could skip the video. I don't recommend it because I like having here, but you know, I get that sometimes we get busy and we just need to see the numbers. Or if you want to go back and review some of the old ones and see what the numbers are, that's a good way to do it too. All right, so there is our single crochet. And you can see in this that it definitely has areas where it's thinner, it's holier, and then areas where it's fluffier, and all of that kind of good stuff. Let's move you over here and bring out our double crochet swatch so we can see the comparison. Isn't this an amazing purple? I mean, it is just stunning. The Ice Yarns puts out some really, really vibrant colors in this particular yarn. It's incredible. All right, let's pull out our sheet. We have a linen viscot, whoops, and / Rococo. I can never spell that. It is a 4mm crochet hook. The weight listed, again, it differs. The Rococo says that it is a fingering. It is definitely a DK, but this one says it's a DK, so we're going to go with that. Fiber content, now we've got the linen, which puts it into that luxury blend. We've got the high-end cotton, which puts it into a quality mix. We are going to give this a 4.5. Feel, I mean, it's for a linen, if I were to rate just based on the linen, I would say this is 5 all day long. But based on, you know, any type of yarn, this is definitely going to be a comfy cozy. It is not a cloud-like. It may soften up. And I mean, it has softened up. The one that I wear now, it has softened up a little bit, but you know, it does have a lower linen content, which tends to soften more with age versus something else. Okay, color range. As I mentioned, the Rococo is more limited. The Rococo only has 14 colors. They also have the multi-line, which has additional colors, but it's more expensive. Ice Yarns kind of combines everything into one, and they have 40 in their color range. So we're going to give this a 4. Splitting, yeah, for a linen yarn, sometimes you do get splits, but I didn't get any splitting at all. So we're going to give that a 5. Stitch definition is probably where this suffers, and obviously it's not meant to have amazing stitch definition. You're not buying this to make cables and that kind of thing. We're going to give this a 3. How about drape? Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I mean, wow. And I can attest, I've made a full garment. I know it's biasing me a little bit, but the drape is pretty amazing in this. We're actually going to give it a 4.5. It's pretty close to that super fluid, but it is definitely not a bamboo, which is the one that I kind of give that highest drape level to. Frogability. No problems. It is easy. Super easy. We're going to give that a 5. Oh my gosh, I might have scored this a little low. Okay, here we go. Washability. Eesh. Okay, it is, the Ice Yarns actually does not show you what the washability on this is. On the Hobbii, you can see it is recommended hand wash, lay flat to dry. I get it. Some people are not going to be happy with that. So if that's something that's going to bother you, you might want to score that a little bit lower even, but it's, I mean, it is what it is. And here's where we have a big difference. Let's go simple. We're going to say difference. The Rococo, when it is not on sale, comes out as a mid-range yarn. It is priced at about 7 cents per yard. Now, granted, Hobbii does a lot of sales. You can get it on sale, and that brings the price point down. But the Ice Yarns, and I gotta say, I'm factoring in the higher shipping costs that you have to pay with Ice Yarns. I did not factor in the shipping cost with Rococo because if you get it over a certain dollar amount, Rococo or Hobbii will ship it for free. Ice Yarns does not do that. Ice Yarns charges a lot for their shipping, so I factored in the shipping into the price, and it still comes in at just over 2 cents per yard. We're going to give that a 4.5 because, again, I'm basing it on the Ice Yarns. Here's a picture of my very lovely finished top, and that uses the Rococo Multi. So I'll make sure to link to that one down below. But I love that top. It's lovely. All right, let's do our math. You know what? No, I'm not gonna score that down because it's something that I've taken into consideration. It may not be a factor for you. I've given you that heads up. It is definitely not a factor for me. So I'm not gonna give it that -1. You get to do your own review. Go through these and score them how you would and come up with your own score because you may score these things very different than I do, and that's totally okay. This is just based on my own experience, gut feeling, a little bit of you know, breaking things down into a manageable bite size. Okay, this, but come up with your own and score it along with me, and then you can let me know what your score came out in the comments below. So let's do the math here. Okay, so if you remember, I'd guessed a 4.2. It got a little bit lower than that, so we come out with 36.5, which is 4.055. Now, that scores a Ferris favorite. Okay, let me talk about this. Would I buy this yarn again? Obviously, I have, because these are all my second purchase. After I made the top that I showed you, I went out and bought these when they were on sale. And I am very excited about using these, but then I found and discovered Ice Yarns and their colors, and I'm like, oh, hello, yes, I have to have this one. So this is, I don't know which one I want to use next. I mean, because I love them all. They're gorgeous. They have very different purposes. Yeah. So I'm very excited to use them. I love the garments. I love the fabric that's made with them. I will definitely put this in my buy again category. 4.05 just snuck into that Ferris favorites. Certainly the washability had a negative factor, and that stitch definition, which both of those don't mean anything to me. Like if I'm buying a yarn for stitch definition, then I'm going to focus on that. But most of the time, I'm not concerned about stitch definition. And washability, I've just accepted that my crochet garments have to be hand washed. It wasn't something that I went with easily, but I've accepted it and I can live with it now. So there's that. All right. Let me know what you think in the comments below. What do you think? Did I get it right? Is this something that you would be interested in giving a try? Because I'm guessing you probably haven't used it before. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week for another Crochet Swatch Saturday. Fira, frog us out of here before I can't talk anymore.